Good morning. Say good morning to Juna. Good morning. Good morning. Oop, he just took a swat at the phone cord. Hey, everybody. A little bit of a late start today. What's up, ya? Wasabi. Wasabi. Do you remember that? If you don't remember that wasabi, that wasabi commercial, Google it. Hey! I think I saw Heath hop in there. Hey, buddy. So yeah. Yeah. What's up, yo? Went to the post office. I had to go first thing this morning, right? They don't open till 9 o'clock. And, of course, I get the slowest. Bless her heart, she's so sweet you can't hardly get mad at her, but boy, she's slow. 5 minutes per package, I had 7 packages. Because for each package, yeah, we know her, and so we do our best to mill around and pretend we're shopping for envelopes until, that one of the other ladies is free, because she's quite a talker. Yeah. So as soon as I saw I was stuck with her, I was like, oh my God, 5 minutes per package, 7 packages. I learned a lot about moose. She told me all about a virus that moose get, or a parasite that kills the moose but doesn't kill the white-tailed deer. However, we probably shouldn't be eating the white-tailed deer because who knows, And I had a moose shirt on, which triggered this whole conversation. You just have to give in. You just have to surrender and know this can take you forever when you get her. Because she's a talker. She's sweet. She can't help it. She can't help being sweet, I guess. She just, maybe she's lonely. I don't know. She likes to talk. So, where are we today? We have been to the coffee shop. Cutest little coffee shop. Hey, Aaron. Moose Madness. I will warn you that I do have a guy coming to inspect the truck, so if he shows up, I'm going to have to check out early, but we'll hope not. Hello! So let's get going in case the truck inspection guy gets here sooner than I think he's supposed to get here, because you know how that goes. When you're in a hurry, everyone's slow, when you would like to slow down. Yeah. So, Doubting Day today. If you ever come and visit me in LJ, I'm going to take you to the Martin House. They have this amazing yogurt parfait, and I'm trying to avoid dairy products, but it's worth it. He does. They don't have an inspection station. There's one guy, he charges $100. LJ, Georgia. $100 to come out and inspect your vehicle, then another $120 for the privilege of sending it to the state. Then you get to pay your plate, change from Colorado to Georgia fee. It's going to be about $300. We're not happy about it. Good morning! This coffee shop makes their own granola, layers it with Greek yogurt and thick, like the authentic Greek yogurt, and local honey. Outstanding. Best $5 you could spend. So delicious. So, we are on 50 today. You can screenshot that, but the Doubting. Oh, so good. I was really glad I stopped to eat first. I got down there too early and I was starving. Okay. Well, this is interesting. This may take us a little time to figure out what the message is today. It's called Love of Life, in her translation. To look for life is to find death. The 13 organs of our living are the 13 organs of our dying. Why are the organs of our life where death enters us? Because we hold too hard to living. So I've heard if you live in the right way, when you cross country, you needn't fear to meet a mad bull or a tiger when you're in battle, or a tiger. When you're in a battle, you needn't fear the weapons. The bull will find nowhere to jab its horns, the tiger nowhere to stick its claws, the sword nowhere for its point to go. Why? Because there's nowhere in you for death to enter. Because you are in the oneness already. I think maybe you've given up the label of life and death and it's all one and you're not worrying about it. I don't know what the 13 organs of our living and dying means. I don't know what that is. I do know that when you're walking this kind of path and you're staying centered, you don't have to fear those things. And if we think of attacks on ourselves, bulls and tigers and swords and whatnot, obviously as metaphors. I'm not stumbling across a tiger today, I'm pretty sure. If you don't have an ego to defend, nothing can stab you. Right? An outside attack, I don't know. Someone calling you a name, let's say that. Someone calling you a name, someone accusing you of doing something you didn't do, can't find purchase in you to cause pain because you aren't defending yourself all the time. You already know whatever they're accusing you of, if you didn't do it, there's no need to react. If you have done it in the past, there's no need to react. If you did do it, there's no need to react. Take responsibility for it and fix it. You don't internalize it. You don't take it personal. You don't launch back an attack. In my mind, when you're in that state, when you're not defending yourself because there's nothing to defend, you're not, shoring up an ego or an identity that you feel like you have to hold in place. There is no death. The ego perceives the death. Every time we change, we feel like it's a death. And it's important to acknowledge that and allow for grieving processes when we need them. But once you understand you are eternal life and really, really, really understand that, like down in your bones understand it, then you don't worry about death. There's no place. We fight and defend against ourselves because we're afraid of dying. That's the bottom line. Good morning. We grasp on to everything because we're so afraid of dying. But when you understand you're always life, you lose your fear of dying. And so you don't have a need to defend. Is that making sense? Like, it's kind of circuitous. Pretty much every fear, if you track it down, if you keep asking, how do you get past it? Practice. Doing what we're doing every day, reminding yourself of the truth of things. You don't have any control over it. And getting comfortable with the anxiety that can bring up when you first start really looking at it. We don't get to control when we die consciously. We don't get to control much. The only thing that I know of that we can control is our response to the circumstances around us. We get to choose that. We get to choose what goes on inside our own heads. But there's very little else that we have any control over. No. Yeah. So we waste a lot of energy that would be better spent working on how we're responding to situations, and maybe taking the approach of, maybe I'd like to be a little more proactive in my life instead of reacting to everything that crosses my path in a knee-jerk fashion. Maybe I'd like to train myself in asking a particular set of questions, like, if I'm upset, how can I see this differently? Maybe I'd like to train myself to ask for help sooner, rather than waiting until everything else has been tried and failed to pray. To say to the universe, I need some help here. Yes. Maybe I'd like to do that instead of just flip-flopping and being tossed around in the wind every single dang day. That's exhausting. And, spending my time worrying about other people's business. Spending my time worrying about my neighbors, what they're doing. Yeah, we have to train our mind. It's a training process. So, Betty, I think you asked, how do we get past that? That's how we train. And it's daily. You train your mind daily, the same as if you're training for a marathon. And honestly, it's that important. Let's see what how Stephen Mitchell translated that section. It's a very interesting place to be when someone's accusing you of something and you don't respond to it. Nope. It doesn't come easy. But the best things usually don't. It doesn't, and it does. When it gets that snowball effect going, it gets easier because you catch yourself faster. So you don't have a lot of momentum and garbage built up by the time you finally decide to stop and take a look at things. So that part gets easier. The hardest part, you've been aware of impermanence and you're too unattached. Is there a thing as too unattached? Other people might say there is if you don't collaborate with them in their misery. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but people can perceive us as cold. Oh, lazy. When we get unattached, people can accuse you of being cold because you aren't responding to them in the same way that you used to, and you're not willing to join them in their pain. The master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings, whatever it is. He knows that he is going to die and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistance in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life, therefore he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. That's living with no regrets. So when you feel an urge to create, you create. When you feel a strong impulse, a spirit-guided impulse to go to a certain area, you go. Then when death comes, you can say, well, I probably would have done more, but at least I did what I could, and I followed my directions, my internal directions. So there's no regrets. There's no room for regrets if you're doing what you feel led to do. Not the compulsion kind of pressure to do, but that soft little, I need to go here thing. And I need to go where my heart flourishes. And I need to stop white-knuckling day after day after day after day. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. We talked a little bit on the monthly. When you take a Desire Map workshop from me once a month, I offer a couple of hours where people can check in and just share successes or problems or ask questions or whatever. There's no agenda to it. It's just conversation. But we talked about white knuckling through life last night, and it's true. I mean, sometimes we just grit our teeth and we bear down, and a fulfilled life is not always filled with huge risks and wild adventures. Yeah, just follow your heart. It could be really quiet. It could be really simple. It's not always flashy and dramatic. The worst thing you can do is white knuckle because you don't know how long your life's going to be. So you can kind of do that for a while. Yeah, it doesn't have to be big. But don't do it for long. Yeah, sometimes you have to just close your eyes and breathe and then deal with it later. But take whatever actions you can to make it a priority, to figure out what to do so that you're not just gritting your teeth through day after day. Because that's I was going to say it's a terrible way to live, but it's not living. It's existing. And that's not what you're here to do. People who've had a brush with death, or people who've, hit bottom, generally are more willing to take risks and follow their heart because they understand there's nothing to lose. That you can lose everything and it's going to be okay. You can come back from it, or you can be okay with where you're at. I mean, there's all kinds of options. When you think you're going to die and then you don't, you're like, oh, well, I might as well do what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen. I'm just going to die. And there isn't going to be anybody there to give me a checklist of you did this right and you did this wrong and you have an A plus or you have an F minus. That's not how it happens. You just die. So then why in the world would I want to waste a minute being out of alignment with what I know is right for me, or not speaking what I feel like I need to speak? That doesn't mean just go flying off at the handle and running around like a toddler, on a Snickers high or whatever. Please don't give your toddler Snickers, but if you do, whatever, be prepared. It doesn't mean run around like your ass is on fire. Be thoughtful, be attuned, and learn the difference between the voice of the ego compulsion and the still soft, small voice of your own soul and your spirit connection. Take the time to learn the difference so you aren't running around being crazy, but also understand that there's no point in waiting. You can take small steps toward any dream today, even if that's some internet research, even if that's calling somebody who's doing what you want to do and offering to compensate them for an interview, or see if they're just willing to talk to you. I built a team, and building a team in Colorado, because I wanted it to be as good as it could be, I cold called a lot of other people in other states who I didn't know. I just knew that they were doing already what I wanted to do or what I needed to do. And so I just called them and I said, what are you doing? What does your team do every month? What does it look like? What do your meetings look like? And people are generally very generous with their information. So if there's a place you want to go, if there's something you want to do, you can make a phone call today. You can send off an email today. Don't wait. Don't keep those dreams on the back burner for too long, because you know what happens. The pot boils dry and sets the fire alarm off. Then the fire department comes, and then you get a fine because it was your own fault. You know what I mean. Don't wait another day. Do something today toward a dream. What is the dream that you secretly don't even maybe fully think about, and you certainly don't tell people about? What's that secret dream? What's that big secret dream? You're an extreme minimalist. Think about bringing that one out. What's the one that you whisper even to yourself? Okay, let's see what Byron Katie says. How can anyone describe the indescribable or bring into existence what is just a mirror image of reality? There are names for it. Arm, leg, sun, moon, ground, salt, water. Names that can only reflect the unseeable, the unknowable. There are many names for what can never be named. When you oppose it, when you experience anything as separate or unacceptable, the result is suffering. So that's the rejection. Nothing changes, internal or external, until you accept it all as it is. But our tendency is to think, well, if I accept it all as it is, it's never going to change, and it's the opposite. Accept it all is the only way it can change. And that you just have to take on faith and try it for yourself, because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense to the mind. But it is the only way it changes. You've got to start looking for anything that's remotely gives you the ability to feel grateful and some acceptance for where you are now, so that you can be shifted to where you would prefer to be. Whether that's a geographical location or an internal state. And when we don't do that, the result is suffering. That's what suffering is fighting against the reality, the current reality. Inquiry brings you back to the peace you felt before you believed your thought. It can bring you back to the world prior to any problems that you had. When there is no opposition to reality, the colors no longer clash, music becomes beautiful again, no dance is out of step, and every word is poetry. Reality is the always stable, never disappointing base of experience. When I look at what really is, I can't find a me, an ego, a defined me as an individual. As I have no identity, there's no one to resist death. Death is everything that has ever been dreamed, including the dream of myself. So at every moment I die of what has been and am continually reborn as awareness in the moment. And I die of that awareness and am born of it again. The thought of death excites me. Okay, I'm not there yet. I get it, but I'm not there yet where the thought of death excites me. Everyone loves a good novel and looks forward to how it will end. It's not personal. After the death of the body, what identification will mind take on? The dream is over. I was absolute perfection. I could not have had a better life. And whatever I am is born, in this moment as everything good that has ever lived. I know that there's never anything to lose, so it's easy for me to hold nothing back from life. Yeah, she has 3. And she didn't start doing this stuff till her mid-40s. So, they had a lot, and, her husband was an alcoholic, and she was an alcoholic, and her life was pretty crappy before this. Because I give it everything I have, my life is complete in every moment. There is never anything undone. There's no moment in my life when I'm not complete. When I see only what's real, how can any experience be frustrating? Even when I apparently fail, even when I'm apparently defeated, there is a constant appreciation and joy going on inside of me. How fascinating to see me baffled by technology, for example. I'm in an apartment in Amsterdam. There's a washing machine. She still has an eye problem, but I believe she's had it fixed where it's not giving her trouble. But at the time she was doing all this traveling, sometimes she couldn't see. So she's dealing with this washing machine. I'm just going to summarize it because it's kind of long. It's in Dutch. She can't read Dutch. She can't hardly see. She calls a friend who translates. She takes a guess at where the soap goes. She just keeps winging around on it. And loses her vision and, has to rely on her ears and can't figure it out. So there's a lot of clothes in the washing machine and she can't get the door open. She doesn't know if she's done it right. And she notices that she feels calm. Tickled, actually. Always watching mine and the way of it. There's nothing wrong. Everything is right. The thought that the machine should work or that the clothes should ever get clean never occurs to me. I'm just watching where reality goes next. That kind of situation you can play, be curious about. There's not a lot of emotional weight. Well, there could be if you're a little OCD, but, and your clothes aren't getting washed the way you think they should be. But it's a good practice to try and look at complicated situations, whether with a sense of curiosity, like what's going to happen next. So I can't figure out this Periscope thing, and I can't figure out how to turn the notifications off, and I can't stop the porn bots from following me, and I can't, my phone pops out of the tripod. Those are good situations to practice taking an attitude of just humor about. Yeah. I heard that there's a Galaxy Note 5 coming out. I can't stand it. I just learned my Galaxy Note 4. But of course I'm going to have the 5. That'll be ridiculous. It's a little... Oh, it's already out. Oh. This is the training part. Okay? You look at the complicated situations in your life as a training ground, so that when something big does happen, when someone does die, when you do wreck your car, or you get fired, or you have to file bankruptcy, when the big stuff happens, you're already prepared, and you're still going to struggle through it. Oh, I bet it is. But you have skills. You've got mad skills, baby. You've got bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. You've got skills. And you're trained. Good. You've got to train. Too many people dive into this kind of work and then something bad happens and they sink down, down, down and have a hard time getting up. Well, the method didn't fail you. Nunchuck skills, karate skills. The method doesn't fail you. The training or lack thereof is what fails you. You can't take on any new skill and expect to master it overnight. My husband really struggles with this. He wants to do something, but he doesn't want to do the daily practice that it takes to get there, like playing the guitar. He really wanted to play the guitar, and then he figured out that he was going to have to practice every day. And playing the guitar is extremely painful for the first few weeks. It really hurts your fingers. It hurts your back. You've got to build up to it a few minutes every day. And then eventually, you're Eddie Van Halen. But it used to really frustrate me because it doesn't now. I'm just like, whatever. But it used to frustrate me because I worked really hard to learn to play the guitar. I taught myself with, YouTube and my dad when I saw him and reading tabs off the internet. It's hard and it's painful. And it used to piss me off because I'd be like, who do you think you are? You can't pick up electric guitar, especially. The strings are so much more painful. It's like, why in the world do you think that you could pick that up and just play it in 30 minutes when it took the rest of us months to get out one Tracy Chapman song? Come on, bud. You got to work for it. It used to really make me mad. I thought it was really arrogant. It's actually just inexperience and maybe fear. It's the same with spiritual practice. You've got to practice and pray whatever that prayer is, or meditate whatever that is for you, or do something joyful like dance or crochet or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. This is the same. Spiritual connection, maintaining your ability to flow with life, whether you call it spirituality or being in line with the quantum field, whatever you want to call it. You've got to do it every day. You've got to commit to the practice, to the training. When little things happen, you practice staying open and unattached. Harder things happen and you practice on those. Then big stuff happens and you're able to get through it without ending up in the gutter. You have to practice every day though, just like the guitar. It's not easy, but the payoff is huge. The payoff is huge. Okay. So, suddenly I remember, so she's just, okay, this is key too. She's just approaching this, yeah, it's critical. And why don't we put it first? It needs to be the first thing we do because everything else comes of it. This is what frustrated me about myself, is that I knew all this stuff for so many years, but I never made the commitment to do it every day. And as soon as I did, things started flowing and changing for me last year in big, big ways, and in little ways, and in all kinds of ways. And it's still happening every day because I decided to make God first. Or goddess. I call it different stuff depending on the day. Or the great whatever. Or, Big J and the angel choir crew. Whatever. Big J and his posse. Whatever. Whatever you call it. If you make a commitment to put that first, to put that as your priority, every single thing flows from that. Your 15 minutes in the morning looks like a drop in the bucket before things start to shift, but it's a big drop in a big bucket. I can't even tell you how profound, the profound changes that can take place inside and then external follows that, just by making your well-being first, your connection and your peace first, before the dishes, before the cats get fed, and that's taking your life in your hands, before the dog gets walked, You take that 15 minutes and you put your own peace first. Then you're able to maintain this attitude of curiosity more. So what happens, she's struggling with the washing machine. Because she's open, it doesn't take long, and she remembers the landlord told her there's a little trick to the washing machine. You have to turn the dial to a certain place before the door will open. The door opens and the laundry is done. If you don't maintain that attitude of curiosity, if you get all bound up in the pain of it and the anxiety and the self-talk that's so negative, you won't remember what to do. You won't hear that still small voice that tells you which way to go or who to call. Yes, and patience. Yeah, patience. 5 minutes per package with 7 packages. Got opportunity to practice patience. I wish we were trained that way. I wish we were trained to make our connection and whatever we do every day to maintain that as important as doing our schoolwork, as important as making the bed, which I never do. But if you're a bed maker, can you make your connection to peace as important as making the bed? And learn about moose. Yes, I do love moose. So at least she picked a topic. At least I wore a shirt that triggered a topic that I do actually really enjoy talking about. Because this area, State Park, Colorado, is in Gould, Colorado, and it is beautiful. And you can't hardly go up there without seeing a moose. And I do really love them. So, the topic was pleasant. If I was going to be stuck with the slow postal person, at least we had something interesting to talk about. So that unattachment, that looseness, that undefended beginner's mind, don't know mind, place that is such a productive space to live in, requires commitment. It requires training. It requires daily practice to really benefit from it. The best way to pass this down to children as a practice, yes, you just answered your own question. By example. The example to the toddlers at this stage is when they're crying and we've addressed physical needs and emotional needs as best we can. We just sit and breathe. Yeah, and cross your fingers. We just breathe. If they'll let me hold them, I'll hold them and breathe. If they don't want to be held, I'll sit by them and breathe. Because my deep breathing contributes to their regaining their own sense of calm. Because they're practicing, right? They're learning how to express their emotions and return to a calm state. They have powerful, strong emotions. And if I react with equally powerful, strong emotions, I'm not doing anybody any good. But if I remember, and I do because I've worked with kids for a long time, I do remember at least to breathe. I may still be having an impulse and getting frustrated, but I remember to breathe really quickly. And as soon as I start breathing, they can start breathing. We can all breathe. We can settle down, eat an animal cracker, and get back to it. Breathing is critical. If you only did one thing, start training your breath. And dance. Dance is good. Music, dance breaks are good. Musical interludes are good. During tantrums, grab your phone, flip on the Spotify, slap some classical music or something soft on. Anything you can do. But that's how you show them, Susan. You show them that when things get stressful, the first thing we're going to do is take a deep breath. And we're going to sit here and we're going to take some deep breaths until we chill, and then we can decide what we're going to do next. that you just model it. Do you have any questions? We make this all more complicated than it needs to be because we didn't get taught. Most of us didn't get taught. Some of us did. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's simple. It's not easy to practice. It's not easy to make that commitment. When you make that commitment and you start making yourself your priority and your connection your priority, stuff starts to change. I think I missed the first part of what you said, Roseanne. Or is that the first part, as women? Oh, the to-do list is long, and yet we have the power to put ourselves at the top of that to-do list. We have the power to resist the pull of our family and our pets and our children and our jobs, and we're the only ones that have that power. And when we don't exercise it, we live in resentment, and we get pissy, and then we take it out on the people around us, where if we just put ourselves at the top, life would be a lot smoother. It's a lot to do in one day. Okay, perfect timing. Inspection dude's here. I just heard him pull up. See the reflection in the TV. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Call on the power of Moose. Moose is awesome. Exactly! If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So mamas, make yourself happy. Love you! Love you! Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow from Twinland. Okay, love you, bye.